The hot summer sun beat down on the quiet suburban neighborhood as Jessica stood defiantly in front of the looming oak tree, her eyes fixed on the simple wooden bench that sat beneath its branches. This was no ordinary bench. It was a memorial, a testament to the love she has shared with her late husband, David. Hands trembling, Jessica clutched the letter from the Homeowners Association, the words burning into her mind. They were demanding she remove the bench, claiming it violated community guidelines. Her heart raced as she contemplated her next move, the weight of their ultimatum sinking in. "They can't do this," she muttered under her breath, her resolve hardening. This bench was more than just a piece of wood. It was a sacred space where she could come to grieve, to remember the man who had been her everything. The thought of removing it filled her with a sense of dread and deep, overwhelming sorrow. Steeling herself, Jessica marched towards the front door, determination etching her features. She needed to speak with the HOA president, to plead her case and fight for the right to keep her memorial. As she reached for the doorknob, the sound of a car pulling into the driveway made her pause. A well-manicured woman in a pristine pantsuit stepped out, her expression severe. Jessica recognized her as Mrs. Wilkins, the HOA president, and the woman who had signed the letter demanding the bench's removal. "Mrs. Wilkins," Jessica called out, her voice trembling with a mix of anger and desperation. "We need to talk about this letter. The bench stays. It's a memorial for my late husband." Mrs. Wilkins' lips pursed into a thin line as she strode towards Jessica, her gaze unwavering. "I'm sorry, Jessica, but the guidelines are clear. All outside structures must be approved by the HOA. This bench was never submitted for review, and it simply doesn't fit the aesthetic we're trying to maintain in the neighborhood." Jessica felt her heart sink, the reality of the situation sinking in. "But this bench is all I have left of David. It's a place for me to remember him, to grieve. You can't take that away from me." The HOA president's expression softened slightly, but her tone remained firm. "I understand this is difficult for you, but the rules apply to everyone. If we make an exception for you, we'd have to do the same for everyone else. I'm afraid the bench has to go." Jessica's vision blurred with tears as she realized the futility of her argument. The HOA was unyielding, and she was powerless to stop them from taking away the one thing that brought her comfort in her darkest moments. Clutching the letter tightly, she turned and headed back towards the oak tree, her heart heavy with the weight of her loss. Jessica sat on the bench, her fingers tracing the smooth wood as tears streamed down her face. The thought of having to remove this memorial, this last tangible connection to her beloved husband, was almost too much to bear. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the yard, Jessica steeled herself and wiped the wetness from her cheeks. She wouldn't give up without a fight. This bench was more than just an object. It represented the life she had shared with David, the love they had built together. She would do whatever it took to keep it. Determination setting in, Jessica stood and marched back towards the HOA president's house. Knocking firmly on the door, she waited with bated breath until Mrs. Wilkins answered. "Mrs. Wilkins, I need to speak with you again. This bench means everything to me. It's the only place I have left to connect with my husband. Surely there must be some way we can compromise." Jessica's voice wavered, but her gaze was unwavering. The HOA president regarded her with a mixture of empathy and resignation. "I understand how difficult this must be for you, Jessica. But the rules are in place for a reason. We can't make exceptions, no matter how heartbreaking the circumstances may be." Jessica felt her heart sink, but she refused to back down. "Then let me purchase a plot in the community garden and move the bench there. That way, it will still be on approved HOA property, but I can maintain it as a memorial." Mrs. Wilkins considered the proposal, her brow furrowed in thought. "I suppose that could work, but the plot would have to be paid for, and the bench would need to be approved by the design committee, and you would be responsible for maintaining it, of course." "I'll do whatever it takes," Jessica replied, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Just please, let me keep this one connection to my husband. The HOA president nodded slowly, her expression softening. All right, we can work something out. Come by the office tomorrow, and we'll get the paperwork started. Jessica felt a wave of relief wash over her, and she let out a shaky breath. Thank you, Mrs. Wilkins. You have no idea what this means to me. As she turned to leave, Jessica couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of determination. She would do whatever it took to ensure her husband's memory lived on, even if it meant navigating the bureaucratic maze of the HOA. This bench was a symbol of her love, and she would fight tooth and nail to keep it. The next morning, Jessica arrived at the HOA office, her heart filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. She knew the battle was far from over, but the prospect of being able to keep the memorial bench was a glimmer of light in the darkness she had been navigating since David's passing. As she stepped through the doors, she was greeted by a stern-faced secretary, who eyed her with a hint of impatience. Can I help you? Yes, I'm here to speak with Mrs. Wilkins about the memorial bench in my yard, Jessica replied, trying to keep her voice steady. The secretary pursed her lips and gestured towards a small waiting area. Have a seat, and I'll let her know you're here. Jessica settled into one of the hard plastic chairs, her fingers drumming nervously on the armrest. The minutes seemed to crawl by as she waited, her mind racing with 1,000 scenarios, each one more daunting than the last. Finally, the door to the inner office opened, and Mrs. Wilkins emerged, a stack of papers in hand. Jessica, come on in, she said, her tone surprisingly warm. Stepping into the well-appointed office, Jessica couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. This was the domain of the HOA, the very entity that threatened to take away the one thing that kept her connected to her husband. I've reviewed your proposal, and I think we can make this work, Mrs. Wilkins began, gesturing for Jessica to take a seat. The design committee has approved the relocation of the bench to the community garden, and we've set aside a plot for you to maintain it as a memorial. Jessica felt her heart swell with relief, but a part of her couldn't help but wonder if there was a catch. That's wonderful news. Thank you, Mrs. Wilkins. I can't tell you how much this means to me. The HOA president offered a small smile, her expression softening. I know this has been a difficult time for you, Jessica, and I want you to know that the HOA is here to support you, not to make things harder. Jessica nodded, her gaze fixed on the stack of papers Mrs. Wilkins had placed on the desk. So, what happens next? Well, first, you'll need to sign these documents to officially reserve the plot in the community garden, the HOA president explained, sliding the papers across the desk. And then we'll arrange for the bench to be moved to its new location. As Jessica carefully reviewed the documents, a sense of relief began to wash over her. The HOA, it seemed, was willing to work with her, to find a compromise that would allow her to keep the memorial in a way that still adhered to community guidelines. With a shaky hand, she signed the papers, her eyes brimming with tears of gratitude. Thank you, Mrs. Wilkins. I can't express how much this means to me. The HOA president nodded, her expression solemn. I understand, Jessica. This is a difficult situation, but I'm glad we were able to find a solution that works for everyone. As Jessica rose to leave, she felt a renewed sense of hope. The battle may not be over, but she had won this round, and the memory of her beloved husband would live on in the community garden, a testament to the power of love and resilience. Over the next few days, Jessica worked tirelessly to prepare the community garden plot for the relocation of the memorial bench. She carefully tended to the soil, ensuring it was rich and fertile, and she lovingly planted a small garden of David's favorite flowers around the designated spot. As the day of the move approached, Jessica found herself filled with a mix of emotions: grief, relief, and a renewed sense of purpose. This bench, this sacred space, was more than just a physical object. It was a connection to the man she had loved with every fiber of her being. When the moving crew arrived, Jessica stood back and watched as they gently lifted the bench and transported it to its new home. Her heart swelled with gratitude as she saw the care and respect they showed towards the memorial, and she couldn't help but feel a sense of peace wash over her. As the workers finished setting the bench in place, Jessica approached it, running her fingers along the smooth wood. "We did it, David," she whispered, a bittersweet smile playing on her lips. "This is where you'll stay, where I can come to be with you." The sound of footsteps behind her made Jessica turn, and she found herself face to face with Mrs. Wilkins, the HOA president. "It looks beautiful, Jessica," the woman said, her voice tinged with empathy. "I know this hasn't been an easy process, but I'm glad we were able to find a solution that works for you." Jessica nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "Thank you, Mrs. Wilkins. I can't tell you how much this means to me. David would have loved this spot, with all the flowers and the trees. It's perfect." The HOA president placed a gentle hand on Jessica's shoulder, offering a rare moment of compassion. "I'm just glad we could help. If there's anything else you need, please don't hesitate to ask." With those words, Mrs. Wilkins turned and headed back towards the HOA office, leaving Jessica alone with the bench. As she took a seat, Jessica felt a sense of peace wash over her. This was her sanctuary, a place where she could come to remember the love she had shared with David, and to find solace in the memories they had created together. In the days and weeks that followed, Jessica became a fixture in the community garden, tending to the flowers and maintaining the bench with a reverence that touched the hearts of those around her. And whenever she sat upon that weathered wood, she could feel David's presence, a comforting reminder that even in the darkest of times, love and resilience would prevail. As the seasons changed and the years passed, Jessica's dedication to the memorial bench never wavered. She spent countless hours in the community garden, carefully tending to the flowers and ensuring the bench remained in pristine condition. The once contentious relationship between Jessica and the HOA had evolved into one of mutual understanding and respect. Mrs. Wilkins, the HOA president, would occasionally stop by to check on the memorial, and the two women would share a quiet moment of reflection, bonded by their shared experiences of love and loss. For Jessica, the bench had become a sacred space, a sanctuary where she could commune with the memory of her beloved husband. She would bring his favorite books, read them aloud, and feel a sense of peace wash over her. It was as if David was there with her, his presence palpable in the gentle breeze and the warmth of the sun. Over time, the community garden became a place of healing for Jessica, a haven where she could find solace and strength. Neighbors would often stop to admire the well-tended plot, and many would leave small tokens of remembrance, a bouquet of flowers, a heartfelt note, or a simple stone painted with an inspirational message. These gestures of kindness and compassion touched Jessica deeply, and she found herself becoming a pillar of the community, her resilience and grace inspiring those around her. She would often host small gatherings at the bench, inviting neighbors to share in the memory of her husband and to find comfort in the shared experience of grief and healing. As the years passed, the memorial bench became a symbol of hope and resilience, not just for Jessica, but for the entire neighborhood. It was a reminder that even in the face of adversity, the power of love and community could prevail. And on those days when the weight of her loss felt particularly heavy, Jessica would sit on the bench, run her fingers along the smooth wood, and feel a deep sense of connection to the man she had loved. In those moments, she knew that David was with her, guiding her through the darkness and reminding her that their love would endure, even in the face of the greatest challenges. As the sun began to set on another day, Jessica stood before the memorial bench, a small bouquet of freshly cut flowers in her hands. She had spent the afternoon tending to the garden, carefully pruning the blooms and ensuring the soil remained rich and fertile. With a deep breath, Jessica knelt down and placed the flowers at the base of the bench, her fingers tracing the familiar carved initials, DJ, that adorned the weathered wood. A bittersweet smile played on her lips as she remembered the day they had first carved those letters, a simple act that had sealed their love for eternity. "Hey, David," she whispered, her voice barely above a gentle breeze. "I miss you every single day. But I'm grateful for this place, for this sanctuary you've helped me create. It's been a haven for me, a place where I can come to feel close to you." Jessica paused, her gaze sweeping across the lush garden that surrounded the bench. Over the years, she had poured her heart and soul into this space, transforming it into a living tribute to the man she had loved. The flowers bloomed in vibrant hues, their petals a testament to the resilience and beauty that could emerge from even the darkest of times. "The community garden has become something special, you know," Jessica continued, her fingers tracing the smooth wood. "People come here to find solace, to remember their own loved ones. And they leave little tokens of remembrance. Flowers, notes, even painted stones. It's as if they're adding their own stories to ours, weaving a tapestry of love and loss and healing." Jessica paused, her eyes brimming with tears. "I know you would be proud of what we've created here, David. This place, it's a sanctuary not just for me, but for everyone who needs it. And I'll keep tending to it for as long as I'm able, because it's the one thing that keeps me connected to you." With a gentle sigh, Jessica settled onto the bench, her gaze fixed on the horizon as the sun dipped below the trees. In the fading light, she could almost feel David's presence, his strong arms wrapped around her, his heartbeat in sync with her own. "I love you, David," she whispered, the tears streaking down her cheeks. "And I'll never stop fighting to keep your memory alive, right here in this special place." As the last of the day's light faded, Jessica knew that the memorial bench would continue to stand as a testament to the love she and David had shared, a beacon of hope and resilience in the face of even the greatest adversity. Over the years, the memorial bench in the community garden had become a source of inspiration and healing for the entire neighborhood. Jessica's unwavering dedication to maintaining the space and honoring her late husband's memory had touched the hearts of everyone who crossed its path. One day, as Jessica was tending to the flowers around the bench, she noticed a young woman standing nearby, her gaze fixed on the weathered wood. Sensing the woman's hesitation, Jessica approached her with a warm smile. "Hello, can I help you with something?" she asked, her voice gentle. The woman turned to Jessica, her eyes brimming with tears. I just lost my husband," she whispered, her voice shaking. "I saw this place and felt drawn to it, like I needed to be here." Jessica's heart ached for the woman's pain, and she reached out to gently take her hand. "I know, my dear. I've been where you are, and it's not an easy journey. But this place, it can be a sanctuary for you, a place to find solace and connection." The woman nodded, her grip tightening on Jessica's hand. "I feel so lost without him. How do you keep going?" Jessica gestured towards the bench, a bittersweet smile playing on her lips. "One day at a time, my dear. And by finding ways to honor the memory of the one you love. This bench, it's a sacred space for me, a place where I can feel close to my husband, David. And over the years, it's become a place of healing for so many others in our community." The woman's gaze followed Jessica's, and she slowly lowered herself onto the bench, her fingers tracing the carved initials. "DJ," she read aloud, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, David and Jessica," Jessica replied, her own eyes filling with tears. "This is where I come to remember him, to feel his presence. And it's where I've found the strength to keep going, even on the darkest of days." The woman nodded, a glimmer of hope flickering in her eyes. "Thank you for sharing this place with me. I think I need it just as much as you do." Jessica squeezed the woman's hand, her heart swelling with empathy. "Then it's yours, my dear. This bench, this garden, it's a sanctuary for all of us who have loved and lost. May it bring you the same comfort and strength that it has brought me." As the two women sat together on the bench, sharing in their grief and their hope, Jessica knew that the memorial she had fought so hard to preserve had become a beacon of resilience, a testament to the power of community and the enduring nature of love. Over the course of the following years, the memorial bench in the community garden became a cherished gathering place for those in the neighborhood who had experienced the profound loss of a loved one. Jessica's unwavering dedication to maintaining the space and honoring her late husband's memory had inspired others to find solace and connection in this sacred space. One by one, people from all walks of life began to seek out the bench, drawn to its aura of peace and healing. Some would leave small tokens of remembrance, a bouquet of freshly cut flowers, a handwritten note, or a painted stone bearing an inspirational message. Others would simply sit in quiet reflection, their fingers tracing the carved initials that served as a constant reminder of the love that had bloomed and flourished in this very spot. Jessica, now a beloved figure in the community, took great pride in tending to the garden and ensuring that the bench remained a serene and welcoming sanctuary. She would often greet visitors with a warm smile and a listening ear, sharing her own story of grief and resilience, and offering words of comfort and encouragement. As the seasons changed and the years passed, the memorial bench became a symbol of hope and healing, not just for Jessica, but for the entire neighborhood. It was a place where people could come to find solace, to connect with their own loved ones, and to draw strength from the collective experience of loss and recovery. One day, as Jessica was carefully pruning the flowers that surrounded the bench, she noticed a young couple approached, their eyes filled with a mix of hesitation and wonder. Stepping forward, she greeted them with a warm smile. "Welcome, my dears. How can I help you today?" she asked, her voice soft and inviting. The woman, her hand clasped tightly in her partner's, spoke up, her voice trembling. We just lost our baby, and someone told us about this place. We didn't know where else to go." Jessica's heart ached for their pain, and she reached out to gently squeeze the woman's hand. "Oh, my dear, I'm so terribly sorry for your loss. Please come and sit with me. This bench, it's a sanctuary for all who have loved and lost." As the young couple settled onto the bench, Jessica watched as the weight of their grief began to lift, replaced by a sense of solace and connection. She knew all too well the depth of their pain, the overwhelming sorrow that threatened to consume them. But she also knew the power of this sacred space, the way it could offer a glimmer of hope in even the darkest of times. In the days and weeks that followed, the young couple became a fixture in the community garden, drawing strength and comfort from the memorial bench and the warm embrace of the neighborhood. And as Jessica watched them begin to heal, she knew that the legacy of her beloved David would live on, a testament to the enduring power of love and the resilience of the human spirit.